Hello and welcome back to the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship. Of course, fueled by Petron. This weekend we're coming to you for Event 7 and we're just about to go out for race 25. But before then, let's have a quick walk down the pit lane.
Hey, welcome back to the Sepang International Circuit. We're here for round 25 of the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship. We just had 2 events in India and previously had 2 events in Thailand, but now we're back at our home circuit. This is a world-class F1 track for our young drivers. It's going to be really exciting. Tune in.
Thank you very much, Peter. Now up to race control to watch the start of the race. In pole position, we have Hadrian David joining us from France. Hadrian leading the French Championship at the moment, coming down here for a little bit more experience. Just behind him, an Australian driver, Josh Smith, in the red number 5 car, and rounding out the top 3, you've got Elias Sapanen in the red number 58. Unfortunately, Amir Harris and Alice Young, 2 Malaysians, weren't able to be with us this weekend. But if you have a look on your on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the green flag marshal. He's going to move to the other side of the track. Once he does so, the red lights will come on, and as they extinguish, we will be underway. You can hear already the engines revving. You can see everybody's gone away. Looks like Sneha got a good start to come around on the left-hand side of Mohammed Ibrahim, and now he's going up the inside of number 42. That would be Luke Thompson. Not quite able to make the move though, as Hadrian in the red number 26 at the very bottom of your screens there leads us into turn 3. Looks like Elias is going to get a nice entrance to this corner. He's going to push outside the pink car. That's Muiz Mashafa. Muiz now going to have an excellent line coming through corner 3. Might be able to make it up to 3rd position. Does he try and do so? No, not quite, as on the right-hand side of that battle is Luke Allen in the blue number 3 car, leading us down now through the third corner of the circuit. You can see side by side between a red car and a blue car. That's Luca Allen and what seems to be Elias Sapanen. Luca looks to have the better advantage and seems to have gotten past the Finnish driver coming in through turn 4 now. Can he make it stick? Yes, he does, around the outside. Now Muiz Mashafa trying to take back position from Shihab Al-Habsi, who's pushing him right off onto the exit of turn 4. Already we've got a lot of action here at the Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petron. Coming through turn 5 now, Hadrian David is taking advantage of all these battles further down the grid to build himself a nice little lead in the beginning of this race, but I'm sure nobody's going to let him have that very long, as Josh Smith in 2nd position and Luke Allen in 3rd position now. We're going to have to start hunting him down. Of course, Elias Sapanen's going to have his foot in the door, trying to get his way past Luke Allen. Elias had the better qualifying, but Luca had the better start and is now up into 3rd position. Looked like Shihab Al-Habsi, a fantastic start to this race 25 of the season, but Muiz Mashafa trying to take position back. He does so up the inside of turn 9. Very nice driving there by the Malaysian, but goes a little bit squirrely on the exit, loses a little bit of speed, not able to maintain that overtake, and we're going to see what happens now towards the front of the grid between Elias Sapanen and Luca Allen. Luca running in the blue number 3 car, the head of the pack there, and the red number 58 just behind him. That's the Finnish driver, Elias Sapanen. These 2 drivers really battling it out for the championship at the moment, as Elias goes a little bit squirrely coming into turn 13. Luca's going to have advantage there, a little bit of breathing room, but not for very long, because you can see how close these cars bunch up. Under braking through turn 14 and down into the main straight now we come. The focus of the battle at the moment still Luke Allen and Elias Sapanen, the blue and red car on screen. Just a moment ago, as you can see, Hadrian David and Josh Smith at the front and back. You can see the gap between Josh and Luca already widening because of the battle between Elias and Luke Allen. Elias going to go around the outside at turn 15. It's an off-camber corner, so he might be able to make it stick. Not quite though, but he's going to double back and try to go up the inside now of Luke Allen coming through down onto the main straight. Can he make that happen? He's definitely close enough to try and move into turn 1. He's going to get the slipstream, and further down the order we've got Muiz Mashafa now in 6th position. He found a way past Shihab Al-Habsi. He's going to have to start trying to get back up onto the grid, because he's desperate to win here at home in the the home of the Malaysian Motorsport Sepang International Circuit, as Fred Peters in the orange number 7 car has found a way past Shihab Al-Habsi, tries to take Muiz Mashafa but suffers dearly for it, as it seems like Shihab Al-Habsi is going to gain position back now on the Portuguese driver, joining us for the first time this weekend in Event 7 of the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship. Coming down the straight, coming up into turn 4 now, you can see Hadrian still leading the race, but Josh Smith definitely catching up to him. The 2 drivers gaining a lead from the gentleman battling for 3rd and 4th position, Luke Allen, Elias Sapanen, Muiz Mashafa here on screen. Malaysian driver fighting from home in the pink number 13 car, keeping Shihab Al-Habsi in the red number 34 car just behind him as we come through turn 5. You can see the orange vehicle behind them of Fred Peters, the orange number 7. He was up into 6th position just a moment ago, but unfortunately a maneuver at turn 1 went a little bit wrong for him, and she had managed to find a way past the Portuguese driver. As we come through turn 7 now, fantastic set of corners here, 7 and 8, maybe the best place in the world to watch overtaking. I always love it. We saw a lot of action there with Kane Shepard and Alessandro last year. I'm sure we'll see it again this weekend. As we come down into corner 9 now, looks like the 57 car. That would be, let's have a quick look. 57 is can't quite make it out at the moment, but 57 managing to find a way past number 7. That's the Portuguese driver. Oh, sorry, number 7 is Yuma Shomi. 57, that is the Portuguese driver of Frederico Peters coming around now, turn 11, with Luke Thompson, the yellow number 42, and just behind him, what would appear to be 31 is 31. I don't have 31 on my screens. That must be Mohammed Ibrahim in 33 as we come through turn 14 now and onto another lap here at the Spanish International Circuit for race 25 of the season as we continue down onto the back straight with action every step of the way, as Hadrian David does seem to be getting a nice little lead for himself from Josh Smith just behind him. The start of the lap, it was a gap of about 1 second between the two drivers, but I'm sure Josh is going to try and close that down as soon as he can. As let's have a look at the lap times. Elias Dependent doing a 2:20.608 last time around. Luke Allen a 2:19.829. Of course, those are just the starting off laps. You can see everybody's down into the 14s now. At least the top two drivers were a 14.2 from Hadrian, a 14.7 from Josh, a 15.660 from Luke Allen, as Elias Dependent tries to go all the way around the outside at turn 1. That's going to set him up for turn 2. Down into turn 3 as well. Can he make a move? Beautiful driving there from the Finnish driver to get past the Irishman, who is perhaps no longer leading the championship now that Elias is stepping up and getting past him in this race. And we'll have to have a look at that, and I'm sure you'll check us out on Facebook and see the end result, as Elias Dependent now brings us down into corner 4, just ahead of Luke Allen. Behind them, the purple car, or the pink car, I should say, of Moise Mashaffa, leading Shihab Al-Habsi. That rounds off the top 6, and then we've got Shuma Shoji and Frederico Peters battling for position, along with Luke Thompson and Mohammed Ibrahim, as we come through turn 5 now with the pink car, the pink number 13 of Moise Mashaffa on screen at the moment. He's going to take advantage of the battle between Elias Dependent and Luke Allen. Luca now into 4th position and in sight of the pink number 13 car, and Moise is desperate to get a win this weekend. It's going to be fantastic to see a Malaysian winning at home, exactly what we want here at the Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, and this battle between Elias Dependent and Luke Allen may just give us exactly that. You can see the gap now between the blue car of Luke Allen and the pink car of Moise Mashaffa already shortening, and it's just going to get worse and worse unless something happens here between Luke Allen and Elias Dependent to change things up a bit as we continue down through the final section now of the circuit. Just for your information, ladies and gentlemen, the final sector is cut at turn 13, so we've got 4 sectors here at the Spang International Circuit, from the start finish straight until turn 3, from turn 3 until halfway between turn 6 and turn 7, and then all the way up until halfway between turn 12 and turn 13, and then back to start finish straight. So a 4-sector circuit, F1 grade circuit, and you can see all of the action that it's already entailing. And look at this, the gap now between Moise Mashaffa and Luke Allen is so small that Luca has to start thinking about defending from the man behind him instead of attacking the man in front of him, and that's terrible news for the Irishman, who didn't have the best qualifying but had a fantastic start to get up into 3rd position, now back into 4th and perhaps even into 5th. Moise Mashaffa has his way, but we wish them all luck, and hopefully they continue racing, because that's exactly what we want to watch here at the Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, and that's exactly what this championship is known for. These young drivers really pushing everything to the limit and finding out what can and can't work, and giving us a lot of exciting action to watch as we come through turn 1 now. You can see Hadrian David and Josh Smith at the front of the back. Hadrian doing a 2:13.757 that time around. Josh doing a 2:14.307. We talked to Josh in the interim between qualifying and race 1, and the Australian driver told us that he thought he had been overdriving a little bit. He was about a 1/10.5 off of Hadrian in qualifying, and thought that if he just eased up a little bit, calmed down a little bit, he'd have the pace in the race. But unfortunately for him, at the moment, the gap between himself and the man in 1st position is almost 2 seconds, and that's going to be very difficult for him to close down. But with 12 minutes left to go, it's entirely possible. You'd have to knock out about 2/10 of a second just under that a lap, but we know the Australian is capable of it. And of course, Elias Dependent and Luke Allen, once they finish their battling, they're going to be challenging the leaders at the front of the grid, as well as we continue now through turn 8 down straight into turn 9. Fantastic overtaking opportunity here. Of course, Hadrian a little bit too far ahead of Josh for him to make a move, but further down the grid, we're going to have some action between, I believe, Elias Dependent, Luke Allen, and Moise Mashaffa. Those three really battling it out for 3rd position almost, as Shihab Al-Habsi hanging in there in 6th, trying to find a way past Moise. He had been up in front of Moise earlier in the race, but the Malaysian driver managed to get his position back, and is now searching for his 4th position, where he started at the beginning of the race. Of course, looking further down the grid, we've got Yuma Soji and Frederico Peters. Fred was up into, or I should say Yuma was up into 5th position earlier on. Fantastic driving from him, and Fred managed to find a way past, and it's all been up and down and left and right, and it's fantastic to watch, because it's action-packed racing, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what we all want, all of us motorsport fans, as we continue now down into sector 4. let's have a look at the times. We got, look at that, Luke Allen doing the fastest first sector of the race so far, then Hadrian David fastest second sector. So we can see Luke is definitely responding to the battle. He's sandwiched in there between Elias Sapanin and Maurice Machaffer, but he's keeping the gap between the two cars, or between the three cars, about equal. He's going to try and speed up a little bit and find a way to get past Elias Sapanin, but unfortunately for him, as soon as he gets closer to Elias Sapanin, he suffers the aero downwash in the corners. Then Maurice has a big advantage as Hadrian David goes fastest in the final sector to set the fastest lap of the race at 2:13.683, the only man in the 2:13s at the moment. But we saw several drivers in the 2:13s. In fact, we saw Luca, Josh, Elias, and Fred in the 2:13s in testing. And of course, we know that the top five are separated by about 5 or 6 tenths of a second from qualifying. So I'm sure they're all got their strategy sorted out and are starting to push. And you can see that reflected. Everybody's starting to speed up a little bit. Josh now we're doing the 2:14.125, so he's answering Hadrian, but he's got a lot of time to catch up to the French driver, and he's going to knock down about another 5 tenths of a second off of his lap time. He's got to get that consistency in there, because Hadrian's really knocking that in. He does 2:13, then 2:13, then 2:13, and he just keeps it there. And that's the advantage that he has. And coming around turn 5 now, you can see Elias Sapanin in the red, number 58. Elias still running in third position with the blue number 3 car, Luke Allen just behind him, and behind all of them, rounding out the top 5, we've got Maurice Machaffer. But let's have a quick replay now of the start of the race. Here we go. On screen you can see Sneha gets a good start, goes around the outside of the blue number 33 car. Tries to take Luke Thompson as well, doesn't quite manage to do it, as further up the grid Shihab Al-Habsi there, blocking out the orange number 7 of Frederico Peters, as Luke Allen tries to go around the outside of Maurice Machaffer, ducks back in. Fantastic to watch, fantastic start from everyone. They all got away well, and you can see Maurice trying to get an outside line to dive up the inside. He does it on Luca Allen, but then it doesn't quite hold, and Luca manages to get past him, and that's how Luca ended up in third position later on. And Elias, of course, managed to find a way past and put him back into fourth. Now Maurice trying to catch him up as we return to the action now. On screen there, Hadrian David in the red number 26 car. Hadrian joining us from France this weekend. Behind him, Josh in the red number 5. Australian driver, had competed in Formula 4 Australia last year. Did very well there. Came down here and is doing fantastic as well. As we can see, the gap between Luke Allen and the blue number 3 car slightly greater than it was to Maurice Machaffer last time around. But look at this, Shihab Al-Habsi doing a 28.906. Fastest first sector of laps of the race so far, so that might be the reason. You can see the gap between Shihab and the man in front of him, the pink number 13, that's Maurice Machaffer, is definitely small enough for a move now, so Maurice Machaffer's got to be thinking about, he's got to be watching his mirrors for the Omani Fly. You can see Shihab had a little bit of a look there, decided against it as as they come down into turn 1 there with Luke Allen just outside of the striking zone on Elias Sapanin, and also Maurice Machaffer managing to hold off the Omani Flyer just behind him as they come through turn 3 there. You can see it's a fantastic angle here. It's actually a significant uphill fight here for these young drivers, but from this angle you can't quite make it out. Well, it's a little bit, you can definitely see that it's an uphill section, as Shihab Al-Habsi has another look there coming up the inside of turn 4, decides against it once again. Maybe he's going to hold off until turn 9. Hard braking point there. We saw Maurice Machaffer try and make a move on. It may well have been Shihab Al-Habsi earlier in the race at turn 9. Didn't manage to hold on to it, but Shihab might be able to do the same thing to him this time around as we come through turn 7 now, or turn 6 I should say, down into turn 7 and 8. These are overtaking corners here in the Formula 4 cars, if you would believe it, ladies and gentlemen, but unfortunately nobody close enough to make a move here. You really have to start your overtake at turn 5 to be close enough to make something happen through turn 7 and 8, as she has Luke Allen, blue number 3, just off screens now, has a little bit of a dive up the inside of Elias Sapanin, and then decides against it at the entrance of turn 9. As we look back to Josh Smith in second position, coming through turn 11 now, down into turn 12. He's going to have to focus on the man in front of him, Hadrian David. This last time around, Hadrian slowed down a little bit. Still, that's a relative turn though, ladies and gentlemen, because he's still in the 2:13s. But Josh Smith sped up. He's now doing a 2:14 dead. 2 tenths of a second separated in lap time. So the Australian driver definitely answering the man at the front of the grid, or perhaps Hadrian just considering conserving his tyres for the remainder of the race. As we go down the back straight now into turn 15. Famous turn 15 here at the Sepang International Circuit, off-camber corner, so anything can happen. And Luke Allen is just close enough to maybe make put a smile on our faces, but decides against it, perhaps wisely holding off until a better, safer, more advantageous position presents itself for him, as Hadrian David goes fastest in the third sector, and Josh Smith breaks into the 2:13.9. So the gap between the two drivers, 2.5 seconds at this point. So a lot of work here for Josh to do with only 6 minutes left on the board, so not a lot of time for him to make something happen. But Luke Allen not deterred by the timing screens as he continues through turn 1, trying to have a look at Elias Pannon, but he's just outside of striking distance, unfortunately for us, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm sure he's going to have something to say about that very soon. Let's have a look at the lap times. Elias doing a 2:14.284, Luke doing a 2:14.156. They're about equal everywhere you go. They're separated by 700ths of a second, so they're just so equally matched. Neither of them can gain or pull away, so they're just stuck where they are at the moment until something happens, as Shihab Al-Habsi once again goes fastest in the first sector of the track. So this is bad news for Malaysia and Muiz Mujaffer, because he's going to have to concentrate very hard on keeping the Omani flyer behind him. In fact, Shihab Al-Habsi significantly faster than anybody else on track in the first sector. That's very interesting to note, although perhaps getting a bit of an advantage from Muiz Mujaffer on the long back straight coming up through turn 3, but I'm not the one to say either way about that as we come through turn 9 with the red number 26 car from France. This is Hadrian David, your race leader. We've got to pay a bit of love to the man at the front of the grid, the man who has qualified on pole position and led race 25 from the first lap. Fantastic driving from him as he comes through turn 12 now. 5 minutes left to go on the board, and he's very secure in his position. But Josh Smith, ladies and gentlemen, now on screen, the red number 5 car, he's definitely answering. He's down in the 2:13s now, 2:13.9. He's going to continue to knock time off of his pace. And if we know Josh, we know he's going to keep pushing right until the end, and he's going to do everything he can to get up to that top spot. But with 5 minutes only left on the board, as we discussed, there's not a lot of time for him to make anything happen. As you can see, Elias Apan in the red number 58, just behind him Luke Allen, the blue number 3, Muiz Mujaffer in the pink number 13, and Shihab Al-Habsi, all fighting really for third position. They're so close together. The 4 drivers separated by about just under a second between the 4 drivers, so it's so close, ladies and gentlemen, but they're just not close enough to make anything happen coming down the back straight. Though hopefully I'll eat my words, as Luke Allen looks like he may be able to make a dive up the inside, perhaps at turn 1, if he's adventurous enough, although he's definitely not going to go for it. Look, he's got a little bit of a different corner there to Elias. He takes it slightly differently as they come through turn 3 now. He takes that a little bit differently as well. He cuts it a little bit tighter than Elias does as they come down through turn 3. Malaysian flag in the background there. It's a fantastic shot to watch. Up into turn 4 now, up the hill into the second sector of the track. Let's have a look at the first sector. Hadrian David does a personal best at 28.889. Josh Smith at 28.971. Elias Pannon at 28.945. Luke Allen at 29.1. And Muiz Mujaffer at 29 dead. And Shihab Al-Habsi once again one of the fastest men in the first sector at 28.964. So that's very interesting. It may mean that we're going to see something happen between Shihab Al-Habsi and Muiz Mujaffer in the closing sectors of this race, or maybe not, because the Malaysian driver does seem to have a bit of a gap now between himself and Shihab Al-Habsi. As they cross the start-finish straight, there was only a 10th of a second, but it's definitely more than that as they come out of turn 8 and down into turn 9. But this is a hard braking corner. Fantastic place to make a move if you're close enough to do so. We've seen Muiz do it already this race, but nobody quite in position to make anything happen this time around. As we continue now up through turn 10 and down into turn 11 now. That's where the red car is just cresting at the rumble strip. A little bit right, well, that's exactly what you want to do in these phone calls, using every inch of the track as they come through turn 12 now. Then this is turn 13, fantastic section of corners here. Turn 14, very wide, late braking angle here as they come up, down into the back straight, and looking at turn 15, so this is where something may happen now. Big braking corner, off-camera corner, so maybe something interesting going to happen. You can see the gap between all these cars is it's about the same gap between all 4, and it's almost nothing if we're honest. But nobody quite close enough to make a move once again as we come around turn 15 now with Elias Apan, and there's the last lap board. So ladies and gentlemen, if something's going to happen, these young men have got to make it happen this lap if they're intending to be up further than they are in the current standing. As we come around down once again with Hadrian David at the front of the pack, the man leading from the first race qualifying, from the first lap qualifying on pole position, and really driving beautifully and consistently in the 2:13s from the second lap, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the third, as Josh Smith, ladies and gentlemen, I think now deciding to conserve his tyres with not enough time to catch up to the Frenchman at the front of the pack. Perhaps that's the right decision to take. Hold off. He's going to start in front of Hadrian in the next race, so with slightly fresher tyres, that'll be a significant advantage for him, as Shihab Al-Habsi once again goes fastest in the first sector of the race, knocking hundredths of a second or thousandths of a second off of his time, as Moise Machaffer's disdain. At the beginning of the race, of the lap I should say, there was if I'm reading that right, there was a 0.4 of a second gap between himself and Moise Machaffer, although that seems significantly more than what it looked like on screen. Although I'm not the best judge, as we return to the front of the pack now with Hadrian David in the red number 26, coming down into corner 9 now. If there was somebody behind him to make a last-ditch effort, this would be the corner to do it, but unfortunately for us, unfortunately for Hadrian, of course, for France as well, there's nobody inside, and the flying Frenchman leading us through turn 11 down into turn 12. Fantastic driving, clean race from him, and really there's nothing more to say. Brilliant drive, and it was a pleasure to watch. I hope I haven't given him the commentator's curse, but it's really too late even for that to affect the Frenchman, as he comes around turn 14 now and down onto the back straight. In just a moment behind him you'll see the red number 5 car of Josh Smith. I'm sure he's fuming that he didn't get a chance to tackle Hadrian this race, but next time around he'll be starting in front of the Frenchman, so it may make things very interesting indeed as we come down through turn 15 now. Here's your leader and your race winner, Hadrian David, coming down the main straight now. You can see the checkered flag being waved on the left-hand side of your screens. You can see Hadrian already celebrating as he takes the checkered flag for France for the 4th or 5th time, if I'm not mistaken, for the Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, the first time this weekend.
So yeah, it's been a good race, decent start. Josh was just behind, and I managed to keep him behind after the first 2 corners, and then I just tried to pull away as much as I could. So yeah, it's been a good race overall. Let's see what we can do in race 2 from P11.
Yeah, so overall a good race, but unfortunately just didn't quite have the pace that Hadrian had. You got to focus on being faster at the start, so I can hopefully go with him, and that's all there is to it really. I had a pretty good start, and unfortunately Elias had a little bit of contact, but there was nothing in it. So yeah, nice clean racing and had a lot of fun.
The race was really good. I had a quite good start, and then me and Josh had a little contact, so dropped down me to P4 I think, and then I just managed to get past to P4 again.
Yeah, the start was good. I had a good start, but the guy ahead of me didn't have a good start, so I had to go sideways past a couple of guys. It gave me a good experience how to control the car in such angles, and I'm looking forward to the next race.
Yeah, my start wasn't perfect. I still have to work on that. I did manage to defend, and I think I only lost 1 position. But then I tried to recover. I recovered 1 position maybe, and then for the rest of the race I had to focus on defending, so I couldn't really make up any more positions. It's been great. I'm having great experiences, just learning a lot overall.
Feel the rush at F4.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, really we've reached the end of the race. So for me, Aaron Thompson, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.